In the quiet corners of the heart where no voice dares to go, there lives a silence louder than storms, a silence that aches and curls around the ribs like vines of longing that have forgotten the sun, feelings not spoken, not written, not shared, but felt in the marrow, in the pauses between breath and in the tremble behind a smile. They live in glances held too long and in words swallowed just before the edge of courage, where love almost rose but died instead. These feelings walk with me in the shadow of your name. They linger in the stillness of nights where sleep forgets me and dreams betray me with visions of what I never said. I carry the weight of moments lost, of chances I could not take, of truths I buried beneath the need to protect the fragile balance between us that I dared not disturb. Like a bird too scared to fly from its open cage, I stayed and watched you through the bars as you lived free of my storm, not knowing how the winds inside me screamed your name in 1,000 quiet ways. How I memorized your laugh until it echoed in the walls of my mind. How I noticed the way your fingers danced when you spoke, the way your eyes turned to the ground when you were searching for the right words. I knew your habits like holy scripture, studied your silences like sacred text, and in every small thing I saw you. I loved you not with the wild fire of bold confessions, but with the gentle flame that refuses to die even when all the air is gone. I wrote you letters I never sent, poems I never recited, conversations that played out only in my mind, and when I looked at you I wanted to say everything all at once, to pour out the ocean held in the dam of my silence. But instead I smiled and said I'm fine, and you believed me, because how could you know the war I fought behind calm eyes? How could you see the heartbreak carefully hidden behind a joke? How could you hear the unspoken I love you in every casual hello? I learned to master the art of pretending. I became fluent in the language of almost and maybe of sighs disguised as breathing, and gazes that lasted a second too long. And when I left the room you never noticed that I took a piece of you with me every time, because you never looked closely enough to see the way I lingered at the door as if waiting for a reason to stay. You never heard the pause in my goodbye or the silent wish beneath it, please ask me to stay, please see me. But I was always the background music to your favorite song, always the sky behind your dreams, never the dream itself. And so I held my truth like a secret treasure buried deep inside, where it could not hurt you or me or the fragile friendship we called love. I watched you fall for others, watched you light up in ways I could never ignite, and I smiled and listened and nodded and cheered as pieces of me cracked and fell away like quiet leaves in the wind. I wanted to be your everything but settled for being your someone. I wanted to be your heartbeat but accepted being your shadow, and I told myself it was enough, that loving you in silence was still love. And maybe some things are meant to be felt, not spoken. Maybe some hearts are built to break quietly. Maybe some stories are written in invisible ink and read only by the soul. And yet there are nights when the ache of not telling you becomes a storm in my chest, when the words I never said scream in the hollow of my throat, when I look up at the stars and wonder if you ever felt it too, if some part of you ever knew the love I hid in the spaces between my words, in the careful tone of my voice, in the way I always showed up when you needed me and vanished when you were fine. If you ever traced back the echo of my care to its source and found my love waiting there, uninvited but loyal, steadfast in its silence, and though you never said my name the way I dreamed you would, I still held you sacred, still built temples in your honor in the quiet of my soul, still wrote your name in the margins of my life where no one else could read it. And now time has moved on. People have changed, you are someone else. And I am still the same silent storm, still the same gentle ache, still carrying the weight of a love unspoken but never unlived, because loving you was not about the return, it was about the truth in my own heart, the beauty of a feeling that bloomed even in darkness, that thrived without sunlight or soil, that became a part of me in ways I could never undo. And maybe that is enough. Maybe not all love stories are meant to be written in ink. Maybe some are etched in silence, in glances, in near misses, in the hush between two heartbeats. I still think of you in crowded rooms, in quiet mornings, in songs that catch me off guard, and I still feel that same pull, that same ache, that same deep knowing that you were the one I never had, but always carried with me. And if I could go back I would still love you quietly, still choose the ache over the loss, still trade peace for the honor of loving you in silence, because some feelings are too sacred for words, too vast for expression, too real for anything but the quiet devotion of a heart that dared to feel fully, without demand, without condition, without ever asking for the love to be returned. And if that is not beautiful, then I don't know what is. So I will keep walking this path, where no one knows the truth but me, where I greet you in my thoughts like a prayer, and keep your name hidden like a precious gem buried deep in the folds of my being. And maybe one day in some distant lifetime our souls will meet again in a world where silence is not needed, where hearts speak without fear and love is given freely. But until then I will carry you quietly, carry you deeply, carry you always in the sacred silence of unspoken feelings. And even if I grow old and the color fades from my hair and the world forgets the sound of your Name, I will remember you, I will remember the quiet warmth you placed in the coldest corners of my heart, the light you shone without even knowing, and I will smile not with bitterness but with the gratitude of having known a love so rare, so soft, so consuming in its own way. I will walk through life with this secret fire, knowing that even if no one ever sees it, even if you never did, it burned bright and true and holy within me. You taught me how powerful silence can be, how deep a glance can reach, how long a memory can last when it is woven from real affection. And if ever you feel a breeze across your face on a still day, or find yourself pausing without reason in a moment of joy or sadness, maybe it is me, maybe it is the whisper of all I never said, finding its way to you across time, across distance, across the sacred stillness between two hearts that almost touched, almost collided in the full force of what they could have been, but stopped at the edge like waves retreating from the shore in awe of what might break if they pressed on. Maybe we were too careful, maybe we knew the fire would consume us, maybe it wasn't fear but wisdom that kept our love unspoken, maybe it needed to remain untouched, to remain eternal in its perfect incomplete form, because sometimes the things that never happen hold more weight than the things that do, and I have carried the echo of that weight through all the years, in every smile that wasn't yours, in every hand I held that didn't feel like home. And even now in quiet moments I find myself thinking of the space you left, not with pain but with reverence, as one might recall the scent of rain on dry soil or the last note of a song that never finished. And I wonder if you ever think of me not the way I appeared but the way I stayed, the way I cared, the way I made a home for you in places you never entered and yet still lived in. And this is the story I never told, the poem I never recited, the truth I never confessed, not because it wasn't real but because it was too real, too fragile, too sacred to place in the hands of a world that might not understand. I lived a lifetime in that silence, and it was mine, it was real. And if I could speak to you now, if I could pull back the veil of time and look into your eyes one last time, I would say not I love you, not I miss you, but thank you for being the one I could love without needing to be loved back. Thank you for teaching me the kind of strength it takes to love silently. Thank you for becoming the most beautiful ache I will ever know. And so I close this chapter not with sorrow but with grace, with a heart still full of you, still echoing your name in its deepest chambers. And as I walk forward I do so with peace, not because I let go but because I finally accepted that some feelings are not meant to be spoken, only felt, and that is enough. That is everything. That is love.